idea for learning matters sort of arose in my friend and the person that she and I both reported into. So our manager been talking or have been thinking for a while that, all three of us believe very passionately about the very strong and undeniable impact that education can have in changing lives, right? So having that passion and belief and believing that we can make a difference, we decided to start Learning Matters. The three of us came together as co-founders, and that is the story of how Learning Matters was born. Who's the backbone of the education system? It's the teachers. And what we do primarily at Learning Matters is we focus on upskilling teachers. Because when you look at the education system, who needs the most support, who does the most work, the answer for everything is teachers. And yet, the topic of training teachers or is not given due importance. If you look at it, teaching is the one profession that creates all other professions, isn't it? But while we have so many guidelines for staying upskilled, or things keep changing in every domain, and the same thing in the teaching profession. But we don't think it is important to continue retraining our teachers or keep upskilling them after every 5 years or so. I mean, you have teachers who've been teaching for the last 30 years, right? And you ask them how often have they been upskilled? Do they know about the changes in pedagogical strategies or things like that? And chances are they'll say no. So they've continued doing what they're doing this in the same way for the last 30 years or 40 years. But haven't our children changed over the last 40 years? And haven't the needs changed? Children have changed drastically. Even children of 10 years back to children of today have very different level of exposure to technology. Careers have changed so much. So our teachers can't continue teaching the way they've always taught, right? So teacher training is something that we give a lot of importance to and we focus on. And the other thing that we focus on for both teachers and students is communicative English proficiency. Because if you think about it, that sort of has become the crucial determiner of a child's career success and even academic success. Because beyond the point, all your papers, everything are in English. Now, if you're not able to comprehend it very well, you're not going to be able to answer the questions very well. And then that begins the cycle of the bad grades and all of that, right? And teachers as well. If the teachers don't hear English, they don't have a chance to converse in English, then they will not be able to speak in English. And then that cycle repeats with their students. So we decided that these are the challenges that we're going to focus on. And that's what we focus on. We continue to focus on today at Learning Matters.
Okay. And when you say teachers, who are your primary target teachers in this case? Like, do you have them coming, and is there a kind of an enrollment they do or a membership they take with Learning Matters? How do you take your thoughts, your ideas across to this beautiful fraternity, important fraternity, but sadly ignored fraternity called the teaching
Yeah,
community?
absolutely. We work directly with schools, Rashmi, and we focus on schools which are in tier 2, tier 3.
Okay.
Because our tier 1 schools, they have enough and more resources. They have enough and more access to technology, to new tools, to new products and solutions, as well as to companies who offer such solutions, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the minute you start driving out of the city and you head towards a tier 2, we see how drastically the landscape changes. And it's amazing how drastically the schools also change, right? And you go there and you see how much enthusiasm and aspiration they have, but how little they have in terms of resources. And so we focus on, and those are the schools that genuinely need people like us. So we focus on tier 2, tier 3. What we do is we work directly with the school. So the school signs up with us for its teachers. And then we conduct our training programs over the course of a year with the school. So we do a combination of our delivery team, training team will go on site a few times, and then a few times it will be an online program for them. So it's a combination of the two. And unlike other training programs where, the trainers come in, they, train for 2 days or 3 days, and then they're done, and then they go away, never to be heard from again.
Yeah.
Whereas we continue our relationship with the teachers over the year, right? So from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, there is so much that our team gets to know about each teacher and truly understand their strengths and weaknesses, understand where they need help, and be able to work with them in a customized way.
Okay. So there's a lot of thought that has gone into designing this program and implementing it. And I'm sure feedback matters to you as well.
Of course.
But are there any stories that you hold very dear, Saraswati, to your heart, which make you feel so happy you're doing what you're doing and reaffirm that you're in the right direction?
Absolutely. We have so many stories. I think I'm sure there'll be a few specific ones that pop into my head. But I think overwhelmingly, mostly it's just hearing from schools or from teachers, right? First of all, there are so many principals who are so delighted that people like us who want to work with them exist, right? And they say, in all my years, hardly anyone comes out, to us and tells us about services like these. And the fact that you all are coming from Bangalore, but you're coming here and telling us you would like to work with us, and it's a huge thing for us. And they're very shocked as to how affordable the program is. The teachers, for them it's very eye opening. The things that our trainers teach them make them very sort of self aware. Other than the theories and the practice of teaching, there is also a lot in the program that focuses on general empowerment of teachers. As we all know, a majority of our teachers are women, right? And it's been that way, and it will continue to be that way for a long time. I mean, you do have a few male teachers here and there, but they tend to be restricted to the physical education and things like that. Sometimes you have a subject teacher who's also a male, but it's overwhelmingly women, right? So there's also a lot that goes into helping them becoming more self-aware, helping them realize how they can empower themselves. So there's a lot of that that also gets built into the programs. In the beginning, I used to go out and train myself. My co-founder and I would do a lot of that ourselves, right? Now, of course, we have a big team that does it. But in those days, I remember more than for them, I think for me, it was incredibly humbling
Yeah.
to see the school, see how little they had, but how kind and how wonderful they were, and how gracious, right? And so respectful of us. And those lessons are something that I can never forget, because, we have so much in all senses. We have so much in all senses, right? So much stuff, physical stuff at home, so much going on, and yet we always find so much to be unhappy about or to grumble about. And then you go there and you see the school, and it's just a tiny thing. There's probably no paint. There's just one bathroom. The classrooms are bare bones. They don't have a lot of, unlike our nice schools here in the cities, which have colorful stuff everywhere, and you have the TV, you have this, that, and all the fancy stuff. They have none of that, right? Just have very little physical resources aids to use for the students. Yet they're just so happy and so gracious about receiving the training. And many times teachers who said, we discuss a particular strategy and they say, oh, I wish someone had told me this, a few years ago. This is so simple to do, but it's so, eye-opening. And just hearing those kinds of comments from them are, really sort of make your day, make it worthwhile, completely worthwhile. I think it's more like I said, it's more about the life lessons I've learned from traveling to all these places and seeing how tough it is to get there, right? Not all places are so easily connected by train, and so you have to do a hop and a skip and a jump, and you go there and you see, and then you say, I have nothing to complain about. I have nothing to grumble about in my life, right? I think that has been very eye-opening.
Mhm.